So hello again everyone, and welcome to another Michigan Military Technical and Historical Society Museum vehicle video. So you can kind of see in front of us here that the Model T project has come along quite substantially in the last couple of weeks. We've been out here right now kind of test fitting, dry fitting all of our sheet metal, trying to get everything lined up and see what we got to do. So we got the front fenders and the grill shell and the passenger side apron back from the sandblasters. Got those bolted down. This driver's side fender came out really nice for the most part. It does have a crack right here that I still need to weld. I need to grind back a little bit and weld that crack up. I just haven't got I was doing a little bit of welding today, but I ran out of argon, so I kind of came to a halt. So you can kind of see we got the radiator. So we went on a road trip last week, picked up some parts, and one of them was the radiator. The old radiator, we took it up to the radiator shop, and the guy, when he got done laughing, told us there was nothing he could do with it. It had been repaired several times in the past. Had a bunch of old lead repairs to it, and the tanks were just full of pinholes, and he's like, it just was not economical to fix. So we one of our stops last week on our road trip, we picked up some parts for some other projects on the East Coast, and along the way we stopped over there at Snyder's Antique Auto and picked up a reproduction radiator. So that set the project about $1,300 over budget right out of the gate, but got to have a radiator. So got a nice shiny new reproduction radiator in here. Got the radiator shell fitted. Since we are doing a 1917, it should have the short radiator in it, so that's what we put in it. The car what we had originally was a tall radiator, so and all of the radiator shells that we had were for the tall radiator. So I decided to take this radiator shell here that we had and took about 1.5 inches out of it, welded it, cut it down, welded it back together, and it fits really nice. You can kind of see here's one of the other radiator shells that we had to work with. That's also a tall. So there's a difference between the tall and the short radiators. I guess it was about midway through 1923 when they did the changeover. We had both hoods. One of our hoods was a tall hood, one of the hoods was a short hood. I believe this is a reproduction hood. We got this from one of those estate sales. It is the short version, and I've got it kind of mocked up on here just to see how it's all going to fit. Obviously there's going to be we got a pretty good gap down here. This radiator shell needs to move back a little bit, but right now we're just kind of mocking it up, testing it. So you can kind of see the passenger side fender has had a harder life than the driver's side one that we have. There's a lot of little pinholes and pits in it, and so and then there's a bunch of dents in it up here. Unfortunately, I worked some of these out because you can get to the back of them, but these dents right here are where the brace is for the fender support, so I can't get behind them. I got behind a couple of them and was kind of dinging them out. In fact, this one here I went a little too far on. This got to go back down a little. But so we'll probably end up working this a little bit more with the body hammer, trying to get it a little closer, and then we'll just put a skim coat of filler, take care of these pinholes. This apron came up pretty nice, so it's on there. Got the running board bolted down. Picked up this is actually a floor mat for an earlier Model T, but it was Snyder's had it in their defect bin, so I got it at a good price. And so I don't feel bad, we're gonna probably end up trimming it a little bit. So maybe something happened to this 1917, and they had and they found a floor mat from a 1914 or whatever. But for now, it's here. I got it at a decent price, and we're gonna trim it so that it fits down here in the corners, and obviously that'll be done when we get farther along with the body. Once we lock in the body design completely. I got the coil box all done, sandblasted, cleaned up, rewired it. The switch seems to work just fine. I gotta do 4 coils and get them put in there. We've got this upper cowl. It's just sort of mocked in place again. This is something that we picked up. It's got a lot of issues with it and some stuff that we need to trim up. But looking at the pictures of the vehicle that we're trying to replicate, it almost looks like that had a completely handmade cowl on it. So we're just gonna make a piece for here, fill that space in, and do that. So you can kind of see, hood goes up and down. It's still no engine. Engine is still at the rebuilder. Talked to him about a week ago. He had shoulder surgery, and so that he had a little bit of a delay, but he still hopes to have the engine back to us before snow flies. So fingers crossed, we'll get that back, and then get the engine dropped in it before it gets real cold here again in Michigan, and we switch over to other projects. So you can kind of see we got the headlights, in with a first coat of the olive drab paint on them. Picked up the early style lower radiator shield, which is actually needs to go on top of the radiator instead of under it. But right now, which is obviously this is all just mock-up. Just trying to make sure everything kind of fits together. So the headlights need to have all the guts put in them, etc., etc. Try to keep my fingers out of the camera if I can. So there's the other side. So this is kind of where we're at. I wish both fenders were this clean. It would save me a lot of work. And this fender is like super nice, except for this crack up here. But that's easy enough to fix. But the passenger side fender is going to need a little bit of work. This is just going to need about 2 seconds of welding right here. Got a couple other welding projects that when we get those going. But I'm very happy. The hood seems to fit nicely. Everything seems to go together nicely. Obviously there's going to be a lot of sheet metal lining that has to be done, but all in all, I'm very happy the way this hood fits. So I think the next step is I'm going to pull this hood off, take it back apart, and start prepping it for paint. And we'll get the grill shell off when we take this all back apart. The grill shell will get put into color, the hood will get put into color. I've already got the hood shelves hanging up over there. They're already in color. So coming along nicely. And well, that's kind of where I just want to do a quick update here for everybody. We see how we're doing. It's a marvelous 90 degrees and extremely humid, so I hope the fan is not picking up too much on the video in the background, but without the fan it is extremely stagnant in here, so I'm gonna have to live with that. So again, help us keep this going. This radiator put us about $1,400 in the hole, so check us out, mimths.org, and if you're on PayPal and you want to kick something towards the projects to help the museum keep these things going and maybe help us offset the cost of this radiator, our PayPal address is mimths@mimths.org. And as always, if you're in the Metro Detroit area, swing by the museum, check us out. We are currently on summer hours. We're Saturdays 10 to 3. And after Labor Day, we will go back to Saturdays 10 to 5 and Sundays 12 to 4. And check out our website. We've got a lot of cool lectures and things lining up for the fall and the winter. So yeah, check that out. And yeah, really appreciate it if somebody hopped on the old PayPal and sent us something, because Treasurer is mad at me already for these cost overruns. So y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time.